Hamza and I we were dropping Hamza off last night, and he said there's a Bible verse. It's Matthew 7:11. And he was talking to me about it, and this is a Bible verse that changed my life. And whether you're religious or not, it's the quote, right? It's he who seeks is he who finds, is the premise of it. And I heard Brad say it in a podcast, and I was like, that's so interesting. So if I'm just looking, I'll find it. If I'm just out there going for it and trying to figure it out, I'll find it, right? So I'm going to talk a little bit about how to make it easy to get there, right? Because now that we know kind of where we want to go, now that we've talked a little bit about what that looks like, it's not quitting, it's putting the time in, staying here, being here in 12 months, making it easy to riding a bike, right? What are the actions that actually move the needle long term? Right? Like, what are they? Like, what would I do if I was like, man, like, I want to have this is my goal, right? If my goal outcome is to be an agency owner, or to be able to write $60,000 a month in premium, or to make $50,000 a month, or whatever it is, whatever your goal outcome is, like, what do I actually have to do today? Because if I only dial the phone for 12 months, I'm going to be really good at selling. Do I have an agency? It's not promised, but if you're a top producer, you might start getting agents, right? If I only study people's content about how to be successful in the industry, well, that's not actually helping do anything that's going to make those things happen. And I'm really big on like breaking everything down to its simplest form. So I'm just going to put it like this. Let's say that I want to build an agency, and I want to have an agency that has 100 writers, right? And I want to have 100 people inside of my agency writing business, and I'm going to do all the work that's necessary. So what is the actual work? Well, the work might look like this. I got to figure out how to sell. Okay, I'm going to have to figure out what I need to do to be able to be successful in the business personally, so I can teach other people. So I'm going to figure out how to sell. I'm going to figure out if I go through hard times, doesn't matter, because I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to be able to teach people and coach people through those hard times. I'm going to figure out what all the difficulties are, what all the hardships are, what all the negative things are, and I'm going to get through those challenges. So then instead of when my agents come in and they're like, hey man, I got hit with this objection, I'm like, just keep dialing. Or I could be like, I was talking to Mustachio last night, and he's like, when I got started, it was just like, just buy leads and dial.
Hammer, baby.
Yeah. We're just like,
What do you mean?
we're just like, hit the phones. We didn't have it broken down. But now we're like, man, you buy these kinds of leads, you make this many phone calls, you should get this many presentations, you should see this many sales. It's just simple math. And if you're not getting the results, well, there's like 3 things that it could be. Your number spam, you're not able to overcome objections, or you're just not good, which means you got a mentor, you got 5 training calls a week, you plug in, you ask the questions, you figure it out. You start to go through the learning process by asking your mentor and plugging into the trainings. That's why we have those. So if I wanted to build a 100-person agency, right, in the next 12 months or whatever it is, well, what would happen is I would be looking to find people to hire, right? I would be looking to recruit people. Well, how do I do that? Well, I can share it with people that I know. I can post on social media. I can run job board postings. I can get recruits from Brad and Andy. Okay, that's a great array to figure out what I need to do, right? Well, maybe I should pick 1 or 2 of those things and go really hard on those. Okay, so if I run a ZipRecruiter ad, or I run an Indeed job board posting, or I do something along the lines of that, like, let's test that. How many people do I get to sign up? Then I know how many people can sign up, and then I know that I can run appointments with those people, so then I can hire a certain amount of people, so then this many people can sign up for pre-licensing. So then when these many people sign up for pre-licensing, then I have this many people complete the exam out of that. There's gonna be a little drop off, and then I'm gonna have this many people get contracted from that, and then this many people actually turn into writers. Well, cool. Now we know the math of how to do it. So now it's just, how do we fill those buckets? How do we fill those holes? And if you're, let's say that you have to recruit 10 people to get 5 to pass their test, and then 3 actually become writers. Well, then I know that I'm going to have to do, whatever the math is on that, to get 100 writers, right? I know the ratios. So that consistency will move the needle to solve my goal, to solve my problem. Let's say I only have a goal to be able to sell at a high level. Well, I'm gonna need to sell a lot, right? I'm gonna need to develop myself to be able to do that. I'm gonna need to grow, because right now, all the experiences, all the knowledge, all the things that have happened in my life have gotten me to where I'm at right now. And if I'm not getting the results that I want, well, that means that I need new information. I need new skills. So I need new information. I need new knowledge. I need new experiences to be able to get me there, right? And that's not always the most simple thing in the world. It's repetition. It's doing the work, right? It's the simple stuff. It's not always exciting, but it's what pays, right? I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about my first 9 months in the business. I sold a ton of policies, and there's a couple of you guys I was just talking to, that have been here since the beginning, and it's just some people were like, how do you know all this? How did you get as good as you are? I've just done it a lot. I've just sold a lot of policies. So it's there's a lot of things that I'm just well, no duh, you just do that. It's second nature to me because I've done it for 2 years. But for a lot of people, it's brand new, right? So if I was to get into let's say Trey just came in, Trey's only been in real estate, or he's only worked a 9 to 5, right? And I'm like I said to Mustachio when he started, just buy leads and dial. And he's like, well, how many leads do I buy? Well, how many people do I have to call? What do I say when they say this? I'm like, man, I don't know, right? Think about it. So if you can break it down to its simplest form, it becomes easy, right? And then so I have up here, create habit and routine around those activities, okay? Because it's not gonna happen overnight. It's not gonna be tomorrow. It's not gonna be in 30 days. But once we know the actions that are gonna help us achieve the end goal, what we have to do is do them consistently, right? So I can't just recruit 400 people tomorrow. I know that I gotta recruit X amount, and it's probably, we would have to, multiply 3 by whatever to figure out how many we would need to recruit 100 writers in that amount of time. And then we would know how many people we'd have to enter in the beginning of the funnel. All right, I think it's about 33. So we know that we would have to bring in, if I'm not mistaken, 3,300 people to have 100 writers, or maybe it's 330. I don't know. If someone has a calculator, you're more than welcome to do it. But the point is that I'm gonna have to recruit a bunch of people, and then I can go, all right, in 12 months, in a 12-month timeline, I can start to recruit, if it's 330, I think it's 3,000 or 300, but yeah, it is, right? So if it's 3,000, well then I'm gonna have to do 1,000 people a month in the beginning of the funnel, right? And then you're like, okay, well, how many people do I have to talk to? How many people do I have to get interviews with job board postings? And you can start to do the math. And I'm just making those numbers up. They're probably not that extreme, but I'm just giving you guys an example. I can be 1,000 people a month. Cool. I can, or 500 a month, or whatever it is. And I can start to break that down. And then I'm like, how many appointments do I have to run to get that many people into the thing and the pre-licensing? And then I know, and then I can start to execute on that. And I can say that from 2 to 3 o'clock, I'm gonna run 4 15-minute interviews every single day while my job board posting's running, and I'm gonna set up a Calendly link where people have to book on it when they sign up. And then I'm not chasing people down, I'm just sitting down going, hey, are you qualified to do this? And then I run that many appointments for 5 days a week for 12 months in a row, and that's how I get my agents. It's simple math. It's nothing crazy, but it doesn't happen overnight, right? So it has to be within our normal routine. Again, I can't just sell policies and expect to have myself recruit a bunch of people. I have to have those interviews, right? Or I have to get in that top group and get agents. But for this example, I have to do that work or it doesn't get done, right? I have to sell the policies to get the experience. If I don't have the experience, how do I teach it? What do I do when my agents have a question? What do I do when my agents don't know where to go? It's you have to know it. There's no faking it. So I want to talk to you guys just a little bit about habits, right? There's a book that I read Man, I can't remember which one it is. But it talks a lot about habits, right? I think it was, that's a great one. But this one was, I think it was The Power of Habit. And I think it's by, I forget the guy's name, something like Durig or Keurig or whatever. But the guy talks about how habits are broken down by, a cue or a trigger. So like, you wake up in the morning, and if you guys like brush your teeth first thing, you're like, right when you wake up, your body's automatically like, we're gonna go brush our teeth. Like you're already thinking it. I go make coffee right away. Oh, I'm going to make coffee, right? Like it's just natural, okay? And then the routine, it's the action that you're so used to doing that you don't have to think about. If you guys drive to the same place to work every day, or the gym, or you just do something every single day, I tie my right shoe before my left, I don't think about it, I just do it. And it's the routine that I'm in. So you don't have to think about it, but it's so normal to you that it is routine, right? And then there's the reward, like I did it. It's done, you made the coffee, you brushed your teeth, you're all done with it, you feel a little bit accomplished, whatever it is. And so what I do for myself, and what works for me really well, is I have like daily goals. And at the beginning of every month, and the beginning of the year, and the beginning of the quarter, I sit down and I say, all right, where do I want to be in 90 days? Where do I want to be at the end of these 30 days? What's going to help me progress towards my 12-month goal? What can I do in the next 3 months? What can I do in this month to help me get to the 3-month? What can I do each day to help me get to the 30-day? And that helps me go, okay, day by day, man, I just got to sell a policy and recruit one person every day. That doesn't seem that crazy. And in 12 months, I'll get to where I want to go. But I have it broken down so easily that in my schedule, I'm like, I'm going to check in with my agents in the morning. Every morning I have like 87 text messages that like I have to clear out, and it takes like 50 minutes. So like I go through those, and I got to make some calls to agents, and like I'm always answering questions. So I'm going to build in some time in the morning that, and I'm just being real with you guys, like that's what it is. So I like have time set in there that like I'm going to like clear out my queue, call people if they need it in the morning. That's right away in the morning. After that, development calls with agents. Got to make time to invest in the people if I want them to be great, right? And then I'm on the phones, man. I'm hitting the phones, and then we're doing training most of the time in the afternoon. And again, I'm back to checking in with agents, trying to recruit. I'm doing a lot of stuff on social media, so that's my time to build at night, right? And I have it broken down where I just run this routine every day. I was telling someone here the other day, I was like, it's autopilot. They're like, your stuff looks great. I'm like, it's autopilot. I just do the same thing every day. I don't think about it. I just do it, and all of it is just moving the needle slowly to where I want to go. And it's nothing special. It's just simple things done every single day. It's the simple stuff, the boring stuff that when most people, they hit the top thing where the photo that we looked at, when they hit this, they go, oh man, another guy out there is talking about how this opportunity is great. Now this one, I'm going to kill it if I jump over here, and real estate's easy. And then, I heard this podcast where this guy's like solar sales. It's like, I can make 10 grand in a commission, and then I'm going to be rich and famous, and I'm going to work for these cool people in this environment. And then boom, they're like, I'm out of this one. I'm going to jump over here. And then they go back and they start all over. And then they got to make that climb again. And then they get on social media again because it gets kind of hard. And they do this over and over. It's the craziest thing in the world. And most people, they play this game forever. They jump up and down. And if you're not like getting anywhere, then it just doesn't make any sense, right? For me, I'm like, I'm just going to do that. Like, what else would I do, Like, I just want to build it. I want to do it. I want to grow it. I don't want the external results of what being successful is. I want to build something. I want to have that for me. I want to be a part of that. I want to be the creator of it, right? And you guys can all have that too, by the way. So it's the simple stuff done over and over. I'm going to give you guys this example, right? I made this. I'm pretty proud of it. Fancy little design here. Someone that goes to sleep every single night at 10 o'clock and wakes up at 6, right? Their body's so in rhythm with it. Boom, 10 o'clock, my eyes are shut, lights are off, I'm ready to roll, going to bed. 6 o'clock comes around, got my 8 hours, I'm ready to getting up, start my day. I got a little bit of time before work. I'm gonna get ready. Maybe I'm gonna read a book. Maybe I'm gonna, eat some breakfast. I have this simple routine that I do, and I'm off to work. I'm on time every day, right? Here's an example of someone that has no idea when they're going to sleep every single night, that has no idea when they're going to get up every single night, when they have no plan, they have no intentions, right? Unpredictable sleep pattern, and there's scrambled eggs going to work, right? I wake up 15 minutes before I have to leave. I got to scramble to brush my teeth, do my hair. I'm a mess. I'm half asleep. And then I get up and I run to the car and I forgot my lunch, so I got to go back in, and I'm wearing 2 left shoes and I'm wearing 1 sock, and I'm all uncomfortable. I'm driving to work and I'm pissed off. And then you're driving to work and you're like, man, this sucks. This day, life is hard. This is terrible. And you're all out of whack because you're not in the routine. You're not in the rhythm, right? And then you get to work and then you're like, all you want to do is take like 5 minutes to like clear your mind and get your things together. And you get to work and you're like, here's your day today. Here's what it's going to be. You have all these problems to solve. And you're like, God, this sucks. And you're just rattled because you're not in the routine. You're not in the swing of things. You're constantly reacting to what's happening externally, and you're never prepared. So think about it. Like, are you in a routine to get to where you want to go? Like, it's so simple to me because I've just been doing it for a little while now, but I wasn't always that way. I had to decide to make a change. And the day that I decided to make a change, things around me started changing. Gabby asked me a question last night, and I thought about this a lot last night. He said, 3 years ago, what's the craziest thing that you just can't believe has happened in your life today? And I'm like, dude, it's crazy. Like the day that I decided that I wanted things to be different, and I was always a fan of Brad. Like I watched his stuff. I watched 3 podcasts a day. I would listen to it while I was doing my work, my internship, in my car. I drove DoorDash. Like I would make excuses just to get away from my roommate so I could go do things to just listen to his podcast because it just made me feel good. And I just knew that there was something there that I wanted to like learn from, right? And I was in college and I'm not happy and I'm not in a good routine. I'm not around the right people, but I decided that I was gonna make a change. And that day that I decided that I was gonna make a change was when I heard a podcast from him, and there was something that struck me in it. I can't remember exactly what it was, but he said something, and this is a crazy side note, but Hamza and I were dropping Hamza off last night, and he said, there's a Bible verse. It's Matthew 7:11. And he was talking to me about it, and this is a Bible verse that changed my life. And whether you're religious or not, it's the quote, right? It's he who seeks is he who finds, is the premise of it. And I heard Brad say it in a podcast, and I was like, that's so interesting. So if I'm just looking, I'll find it. If I'm just out there going for it and trying to figure it out, I'll find it, right? And I decided that day that I was going to figure it out. I started reading books differently. I started watching what was happening around me differently. I started to observe people and be like, that's not what I want to be around. I started to distance myself from people that weren't helping me, that were speaking negatively, that were bad influences on my life. I started to change, right? And what's crazy is that shortly after that, and I tell this story sometimes, but I had an ex-girlfriend, right? And I remember showing her this stuff that I was learning, and I was so excited about it. And she's like, yeah, but this and that. And I just remember being like, I gotta get out of here. And I just started thinking about things differently. And then there was a day that I heard Brad talk about Real Financial, and I was like, I'm doing that. That's it, I'm doing it. I trust this guy, he's changed my life, I'm gonna go for it. And I decided, right? I made a decision that things were gonna be different. And it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. I had to figure a lot of stuff out, and I had a path that I don't know if I would recommend everybody else take the same actions if they were going down it. But I decided to change my life, and these doors started opening, and these opportunities, and then boom, I'm doing really well, and then bang, I'm writing all this business, and I'm talking to Andy Elliott on the phone and he's asking me how to sell insurance. And I'm like a kid that I'm like talking to a famous guy and I'm like, what is going on? And then he's like, you should come out here and move to Arizona and move in with me and my wife. And I'm like, I'm packing my car right now. I'm coming. He didn't even give me his address. I just drove to Scottsdale. I'm like, where do I go? You know? I didn't know if he was dead serious or kind of kidding. I'm like, I'm here. What are we doing? You know? And it's like, I just decided that one day I was going to change. And all these things started happening in my life. Right? And now I'm talking to you guys about it. And you guys have the same opportunity to make a decision today and then tell your story to help other people grow. And that's what this is about. But what's crazy about it is that I used to be that guy. I used to be Mr. On E over here with the red battery. And then one day I was like, you know what, I'm gonna get in a routine. I'm gonna do the same thing over and over. When I was starting to figure out how to sell, I woke up at the same time every day. I read books every morning. I invested in myself. I started to visualize, think about my goals, what I wanted to do. And I was working out every day. And then I was at the top of the leaderboard all of a sudden. And you know what's crazy is I was so calm and present and just like, I had this feeling that I was just doing what I was supposed to be doing. But it was because I gave myself that space from everything to think about what I actually wanted. So I gave myself that clarity. And then I put the right routines in place. I put the right habits in place, and it was simple. It was just run the play every day. This is gonna work. It's gonna move me closer to where I wanna go. And every month I was making a step closer and a step closer and a step closer. And I just started to increase and grow and develop, right? And again, it took time, but that's cool. It's a part of the game. So, your current routines, what's gotten you to where you're at right now, right? So if you're not happy with where you're at, we might need to change it, which is cool. That's why we're here. We all came in this room to make it change, right? And so our goal is to figure out what those things are. And if you're in a place right now where you're not, crushing it, you're not killing it, like, it's good that you know that. Because there's a lot of people that will never get that information, never get that feedback, and then they end up going down the wrong path forever. Man, if this is the video that helped you out today, I'm gonna place a couple other of my videos right here for you guys to watch. It's exactly what you're gonna need to see following today's video, guys. See you in the next one.